Hi, I'm Joan Goodchild for SC Media. This month, we're excited to showcase our 2024 Women in IT Security honorees. Today, I'm joined by Tammy Klotz, a transformative cybersecurity leader and mentor. With over 20 years in IT and a decade as a CISO for major manufacturing firms, Tammy is a passionate and revolutionary cybersecurity leader and has revolutionized cybersecurity programs and championed cultural change. A passionate advocate for women in technology, she empowers the next generation through mentorship and active involvement in organizations like WESIS and the Cloud Security Alliance. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you, Joan. It's great to be here.
Great. So let's dive right in. You began your journey in IT over 2 decades ago and then transitioned into cybersecurity leadership roles in recent years. What motivated this shift for you, and what challenges did you face as you carved out a path in cybersecurity?
Sure. So, I mean, it's actually been 3 decades total, truth be told. But so first 25 years almost in technology, right? And that was, after, graduating from college with aspirations to be a math teacher and landing in corporate America instead. And then developed and came up the ranks from a technology perspective, and ultimately taking my last role at my technology company in internal audit as kind of a pivotal point in launching into my cybersecurity career back in 2015, 2016. So in 2015, Air Products spun off a new company, and I was given the opportunity to take on the CISO role there. And really, that was built upon the fact that, I didn't have the security background at that point in time. However, I knew the executive leadership team that was forming the new company. I knew our business, and I also had solid relationships and had the audit background. And I had a CIO who had complete confidence in my capabilities to be able to figure out the rest, as he would say, right? So that was my first opportunity to take on that role in a chemical manufacturing company. And then moved into 2 other subsequent CISO roles. I'm currently the CISO now here at Trinseo, also chemical manufacturing. So a lot of synergies through the different organizations that I have been a part of, with different challenges and different risk profiles, but nonetheless being able to build out the cybersecurity programs at each of those companies.
That's great. Thanks for going over that with us. Interesting background. As a veteran who's been recognized for innovation and leadership, can you describe maybe some key moments where you saw the impact of your cybersecurity initiatives on your organization or maybe even in the
Sure.
industry?
Yes, so I'll go back to when I first did this, right, at Versum. And my take is there's a lot to be said for investing in your employees and your constituents who are, basically running your business for you, but spending a lot of time with them on education and awareness, which is sometimes very atypical, right? Because everybody wants to solve a security problem with a tool, with a piece of technology. But at the heart of all of that is making sure that your employee base is aware and is vigilant about the different types of things that can happen to them, not only in their professional lives, but also in their personal lives. So when you bring those two together and you exemplify, why it's important to, pay attention to the emails that you're receiving and what could happen in your personal life if your credentials were stolen, and then translating that into business impact and such. It definitely resonates differently with the organization, and it helps build that culture within the organization. So that's I think one of my differentiators is the focus on the people aspect of it. Oftentimes security leaders are told that, your people are your weakest link. And what I really try to do is switch that paradigm and actually message to the organization that you are the strongest link in keeping us safe. And here is why, and here is how. So I would say that's, one of the differentiators for me as a CISO in the organization. I'm not the technical tool, hands-on keyboard CISO. I'm going to very much focus on the risk profile, on the education and awareness, and empowering folks to, understand and be aware of what's going on in the external world from a cyber threat perspective.
So building high performing teams is one of your specialties. And like you said, you're not the typical, behind the keyboard type CISO, you're hands
Mhm.
on. What are some critical skills that you emphasize in your teams? And how do they differ maybe from traditional soft skills in cybersecurity that we talk about so much?
Yeah, so soft skills is a bad word to me.
Okay.
So because that's how typically everybody refers to them, right? And that sounds squishy and meh. So I like to again change the paradigm and talk about those skills as critical skills within the organization, right? Because it is about recognizing individuals as human beings. So one of the things that I do is I have a set of tipsy principles that I follow in developing my team. So it's a double T and I, a double P and a C. So it's really around being transparent, um, fostering environment of togetherness. I'm gonna like inclusion. Uh, and then there's the two P's is really around being present in your conversations and giving your employees the time that they definitely deserve. And then I'm going to forget the second P at the moment, which is terrible. But then the last one is really around consistency. Participation is the other P. So I knew it would come to me. So it's really about bringing people together organizationally and making sure that you are being, transparent with them with what you can share within the organization, really fostering, building the relationship and an environment of trust. Because what ends up happening in those situations is when and if the time comes for you to have to deliver some not so pleasant news, because of what you've been able to build as your foundation for organizing your team, that respect comes with the messages that are maybe less than popular for folks to hear. But they are understood and respected, knowing that you're coming forward with the truth to share with them and acknowledging the fact that you may not be able to share things in certain situations. So, really coming together and making sure that everybody understands what their common goals and objectives are, and reinforcing that on a regular basis, giving them the time that they deserve as employees in the organization, empowering them to, bring new ideas forth, to challenge them, to, perhaps change the way things are normally done from a status quo perspective. And, it's really around taking time to, break down the barriers. And one of the things that I do right now with my team that we love and we look forward to every week is on a Friday. We did it this morning. It's, Friday fun. It's a half hour. Everybody gets on the phone and we just don't talk about work. That's the only rule, right? So it's about building those relationships. So, and those are the things that carry you through to tumultuous times when there are things that you cannot control that are going on organization. What you cannot control what's going on organizationally.
That's great. Now, you're part of our Women in IT Security Honoree program. So let's, talk about that a little bit too. What specific barriers do you think women in cybersecurity still face? How can the industry work to remove these obstacles? I mean, have you yourself ever experienced any setbacks that you would have advice for other women that are either in the field or looking to get into the field that you would have some advice for them on?
Sure. So a couple of things. One, for those of the women out there who are considering perhaps changing careers, moving into cyber, don't discredit what you're capable of, and make sure that you are willing to step outside of your comfort zone. I've shared this numerous times along with some of my peers and colleagues. Is that oftentimes as women, we will read a job description and we'll say, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I don't do that, I don't do that, and therefore we will not apply for a position because we don't check all of the boxes, as opposed to our male counterparts who will go, oh, I can do that, and they apply anyway. So when I'm mentoring and coaching individuals, I'm always talking to them about, don't don't discredit what you're capable of. And if you think you can, great. Your first step is getting the interview. The second step is convincing the people that are interviewing you that you are worth and willing and able to give it a shot and give it a try, even if you don't check all of those boxes. So, making sure that you are confident in your capabilities, what you can bring to the organization, and not being afraid to step outside of that comfort zone to see. You never know what what could possibly happen, right? And 10 years ago, if you would have told me I would have been a three times over CISO, I would have said, yeah, no, like really. And here I am, so it's definitely one of those things is that, it's okay to take a chance.
That's great. Lastly, I know that you have had a lot of impact on people as a mentor. So, what advice would you offer to women aspiring to senior roles in cybersecurity? You just touched on a lot of that too about the confidence level and not being afraid to take that
Mhm.
chance. But how do you support your mentees in navigating the tech landscape? When you're doing that kind of one-on-one work with them.
Mm. So part of the conversation in the mentor mentee relationship is really sitting down and talking about what are your boundaries, right? What are you willing to compromise on, and what are those things that are you're definitely not going to compromise on? So whenever you're headed into a situation, you can ask yourself those questions of whether or not you are overstepping those boundaries. And people will talk about it and they'll think about it, but I always encourage people to write it down because writing it down somehow makes it more solid and, more ingrained in kind of your general daily activities. And then you use that as you're in different situations and being maybe asked to do something that is going to test a boundary of yours that you don't want to cross. And then how are you going to handle that situation as well? So, whether that's from a technology perspective, whether that's from a culture perspective, anything with regards to, advancing in your career one way or the other, I think that's extremely important. And then the other thing is, developing your circle. We often will refer to it as our personal board of directors, right? There's a couple of us who did a session on this, and who are the people that you can go to, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a prior boss leader that you've worked for, somebody who's going to give you the positive and the negative feedback and being willing to accept both.
Great. Well, that's all our time for today. I want to thank Tammy for joining us.
Excellent. Thank you, Joan. Appreciate again the opportunity, and it's great to be part of the women who have been recognized in this organization. So thank you.
That's great. And thanks to you for watching. Please take some time to look around the site and learn about our other honorees this year and their inspiring backgrounds and stories. For now, on behalf of SC Media, I'm Joan Goodchild. Have a great day.